All right, let's talk about something we all have, but don't always understand, our feelings. We're going to dive into the hidden world of our inner lives, a place that has a language all its own.
So let me just start by asking you a really simple question. How are you feeling right now? Seriously, take a second. Try to find the exact word for it. It's not so easy, is it?
Maybe for you, it's that little buzz of nervous energy before a big deadline. Or maybe it's the complete opposite, that simple, quiet joy of having a moment all to yourself. Or, hey, maybe it's just that little feeling of satisfaction from the first sip of your morning coffee. See, our inner worlds are incredibly complex. You know, the painter John Constable had this beautiful way of thinking about it. He called the sky the chief organ of sentiment. He believed that the sky, always shifting, always changing, was the perfect metaphor for our feelings.
And it makes so much sense, right? Just like clouds, our feelings are rarely just one thing. Joy can be tinged with a little bit of sadness. Anger can have threads of frustration woven in. Trying to label this emotional weather is like trying to paint a cloud before it changes shape on you.
So all of this brings up a pretty wild question. Have we always felt this way? Let's take a look at where the very words we use for our feelings actually came from. You might be surprised.
Get this, the word emotion is actually super new. Before the 1800s, people didn't really think of themselves as having emotions. Instead, they had things like passions or appetites. They saw these feelings as external forces acting on them, almost like spirits or even demons. And this slide just lays out the shift perfectly. Back in ancient Greece, if you were angry, it was literally because you were hot-blooded. You had an imbalance of fluids in your body. But today, we think of it as an electrical signal in our brain. The physical sensation might be the same, but our whole understanding of it has been turned on its head.
And you can really see that evolution here. We started with blaming bad moods on bodily fluids. Then we fast forward to the 1830s when a philosopher named Thomas Brown first came up with the word emotion. Then Darwin comes along and connects our feelings to survival. And then, of course, Freud suggests that our deepest feelings could be hidden even from us. Each step changed not just our words, but our whole experience of being human.
Okay, so if we can invent ways of feeling, does that mean we can lose them too? The answer is a resounding yes. There are entire emotional concepts that have just faded away as our cultures have changed.
I want you to meet a lost emotion called acetia. And listen, this was not just a case of the Mondays. For monks living alone in the desert, this was a full-blown spiritual crisis, a feeling of total meaninglessness that was so intense they called it the noonday demon, because it would strike in the oppressive midday heat.
So where did this terrifying feeling go? Well, as life changed, as monks moved from the harsh desert into the rolling vineyards of Italy, the specific conditions that created acedia, they disappeared. And this powerful spiritual crisis, it slowly got absorbed by other, lesser concepts like melancholy and plain old sloth. It just goes to show how tied our feelings are to our environment.
And this isn't just something that happened in the past. It's happening right now, all over the world. Different languages have these amazing, specific words for feelings that, in English, we need a whole sentence to explain. They're like little windows into different ways of being.
Let's start with amai from Japan. It's that wonderful, warm, comforting feeling of being able to be totally vulnerable with another person. It's like being a kid again, just for a moment, knowing you're completely safe and cared for. A sweet surrender.
And having a specific word for this says so much, right? In a culture like Japan's, where community and interdependence are so important, a feeling like amai acts as this incredible social glue. The fact that we don't really have a word for it in English, well, maybe that says something about our own cultural focus on independence.
Or how about this one from the Benin people of Papua New Guinea? It's called a wumbuk, and I bet you've felt it. It's that heavy, empty silence that falls over a house right after your guests leave. The laughter is gone, and there's just this void, a kind of social hangover.
But here's the really beautiful part. They don't just sit with that feeling. They have a ritual for it. They believe that visitors leave a kind of heaviness behind, so they leave a bowl of water out overnight to absorb it. In the morning, they pour it out, they name the feeling, and they deal with it. It's amazing.
And for our last one, this is a feeling I am almost certain you've had. The French call it l'appel du vide, the call of the void. You know, when you're standing somewhere high up and for a split second, a tiny weird part of your brain just whispers, jump? It's not that you want to, it's just this bizarre, unsettling acknowledgement of the possibility. The French gave that flicker of a thought a name.
All right, so lost emotions, untranslatable feelings, this is all super interesting, right?
But what's the point? Why does having the right word for something actually matter? Well, it turns out it matters a lot. Because this ability to be precise with your feelings is a kind of superpower. Psychologists call it emotional granularity. And it's the difference between just saying, I feel bad, and being able to say, okay, what I'm actually feeling is disappointed and a little bit anxious and maybe a touch frustrated.
And once you can do that, the benefits are just huge. When you can name a feeling with precision, you understand yourself better. You can handle stress so much more effectively because you know what you're dealing with. And you can explain what's going on to other people, which of course improves all of your relationships. That big scary cloud of bad feeling becomes something you can actually manage. And you know, all these incredible stories and ideas that we've been talking about, they come from the amazing work of historian Tiffany Watt Smith in her Book of Human Emotions. She's basically created a dictionary for our inner worlds.
Which brings us to the most important takeaway of all. In a world that is always pushing us to simplify things, to just boil our feelings down to a handful of emojis, what we're learning is the exact opposite. We don't need fewer words for how we feel. We need more.
So I want to leave you with this to think about. What's a feeling you've had that you wish there was a perfect word for? You know, that specific relief you feel when a plan gets canceled? Or that weird nostalgia for a time in your life you never actually experienced? The more we look for the words, the better we'll understand the secret language inside all of us.